Thank you for joining us for another episode of Dvar Malchus. This week's special Erev Shabbos Hagadol and Erev Pesach and Shabbos Tzav, and we are with the talks of the Rebbe just days after Yud Aleph Nisan, the Rebbe's birthday, and we're on page 33 at the top of the page, the 8th of Nisan 5751, the second excerpt in the beginning of Dvar Malchus, the cycle. We are at the top of page 33. The content of the month of Nisan, the month of redemption, called so because of its central theme, the festival of Pesach, the time of our freedom, is particularly emphasized in the Shabbos before Pesach. The word Nisan comes from the word miracle. In addition, Nisan with two nuns denotes the miracle of miracles, the miracles of wonders that Hashem did for the Jews in the month in which he took them out from Egypt, which signifies the special miraculous conduct of the month, and the concept of the miracles of miracles is emphasized even more on Shabbos before Pesach, from which the festival of Pesach is blessed. From its Shabbos, the following week is blessed, referring to Shabbos Hagadol, because a great miracle occurred on it. The miracle of Hashem smote the Egyptians, their firstborn. As the Alter Rebbe explains at length in his Shulchan Aruch, they established remembrance of this miracle for all generations on Shabbos and called it Shabbos Hagadol. Furthermore, Shabbos Hagadol was the beginning of the redemption of the miracles of the Exodus of Egypt, and therefore we say this Shabbos we were slaves. Now, explanation is necessary as for why the miracle of Hashem smote Egypt through their firstborn was called a great miracle, greater than the other miracles. What was the greatness of this miracle, to the extent that it was the beginning of the redemption of the miracles, to the exodus from Egypt, seemingly that it's only another miracle among all miracles that happened in Egypt. Explanation is also necessary in the connection of this miracle with the day of Shabbos. Specifically, they established this miracle as a remembrance for all generations on Shabbos and call it Shabbos Hagadol. For although there is a reason for this, yet we may say, knowing the great precision of everything in the Torah and establishing a new unique days according to the Torah, there is also a deeper and more meaningful connection to the content of Shabbos, to the extent that Shabbos is called Shabbos Hagadol, and to add the connection to the beginning of the redemption miracles of Shabbos Hagadol is emphasized even more this year, because the first day of Pesach, when the redemption and exodus from Egypt occurred, actually is on Shabbos. One of the main aspects the Torah emphasizes is that the redemption from Egypt was through Moshe Rabbeinu, the redeemer of the Jewish people. The Torah recounts at length how Hashem chose Moshe specifically to be the redeemer of the Jews, to the extent that even Moshe begged Hashem, send the one who you will eventually send. Hashem didn't grant his recent request, since he specifically wanted Moshe to be his emissary to redeem the Jewish nation. From this it's understood that Moshe has a profound connection with the redemption, and therefore it is specifically in his power to redeem the Jewish nation, to the extent that our sages say about Moshe that he is the first redeemer and the final redeemer. Moshe is called the final redeemer even regarding the true and complete redemption of the last exile that will be through the righteous Mashiach, regarding which it is said, like the days I took you out of Egypt, I will show them wonders, and especially as it is known that the redemption from the Egypt is the beginning and source of all the redemptions, including the future redemptions. Since redemption, all redemptions come specifically through the power of Mashiach, or rather through the power of Moshe. The central point of the explanation of this, the ultimate goal of the redemption from Egypt is, and I shall show you to be a nation for me, and I shall be a God for you, and you shall know that I am Hashem your God, who takes you out from under the burdens of Egypt, and that I am Hashem your God that took you out from the land of Egypt. In other words, the revelation of godliness in the world below during the redemption from Egypt is ordered that the Jews, as they find themselves in the world, should see, recognize, and know that Hashem, and they should accept afterwards the giving of the Torah, Hashem's Torah and mitzvahs, and through their service they should reveal godliness and establish an eternal way in their life and in their portion in the world, as was done with the Mikdash, the purpose of the exodus from Egypt and the giving of the Torah, making a sanctuary for me and a dwelling for you, and eventually a more permanent basis in the first and second base of Mikdash. Ultimate perfection will be in the third base of Mikdash, the Mikdash that Hashem, his hands, have built, an eternal house, in the third and complete redemption, that through this they will reveal godliness in the world in this manner until the perfection of this which will be attained in the world to come, when the entire world and its people will recognize and see godliness in a revealed and perfect manner. The glory of Hashem will be revealed, and all flesh together will see the mouth of Hashem spoke. This is also the reason why the redemption from Egypt came specifically through open miracles and wonders, and specifically through a miracle that is higher than nature, and unlimited power of Hashem is revealed to the human eyes, that we shall recognize in a revealed manner how Hashem controls nature, and therefore has the ability to make a miracle higher than, or a miracle that changes the natural conduct of the world. Olam, an idiom of Olam, concealment, which Teva, nature, an idiom of Tibu, they sank in the sea, covers over Hashem's continued power of creation, something from nothing that is in it. This gives and continues to give the Jewish nation the ability, who saw these open miracles, to have redemption, liberation from limitations, midos, v'hagbalos, of the world, from enslavement to worldly necessities and bondage to the various mitzrayim, meaning mitzrayim, limitations of the world in general and especially exile, being with the Egyptian exile, that it becomes the time of our freedom, true freedom from all confinements, including the confinements of the garments of nature, including miracles that are clothed in nature, like the miracles of pork. As this will reach perfection in the true and complete redemption, when it will be, as I show you your exodus from Egypt, I will show them wonders that are completely higher than the ways of nature, like the miracles during the Egyptian exodus. Furthermore, they will be regarded as wonders in comparison to the miracles that took place at the Egyptian exodus. In a way, I will show them, Hashem himself shows them, which then everything is revealed, both what that has a potential to become revealed, the revealed aspects, and what is concealed aspects. The truth and inner dimensions of the natural conduct becomes manifested, as well as the complete miraculous conduct, including what is completely wondrous, and the ability to bring the redemption to the Jewish nation, reveal the godliness and below in the above mentioned manner, comes specifically through Moshe Rabbeinu, the Redeemer of the Jewish people, as will be explained. This will be understood by explaining the content of the concept and unique quality of Moshe, similar to the novelty of the redemption, and therefore the redemption comes through Moshe, as expressed in Psalm 90 in the book of Psalms, which we begin saying these days. That it starts with the prayer of Moshe, the man of God, and finishes, and may the pleasantness of Hashem be upon us. Hashem, our God, be upon us. Establish for us the work of your hands, of our hands, and the work of your hands shall establish it. Rather, establish for us the work of our hands, and the work of our hands shall establish it. This poem is unique, one that it was said by Moshe Rabbeinu, the prayer of Moshe. The 90th Psalm is the first of 11 songs, and from here a song of David that Moshe said. From this it's understood that the psalm expressed the gist of Moshe's service and accomplishment through his prayer, including his effect on the Jews and the world. And our sages said that, and many, the pleasantness of Hashem, our God, be upon us. And the end of the psalm is Moshe's blessing and prayer in connection with the dwelling of the divine presence in the Mishkan. And he said to them, may it be the will and divine presence will rest in the work of your hands, and may the pleasantness of Hashem our God be upon us. This meaning that specifically Moshe's prayer accomplished the dwelling of divine presence in the Mishkan, and a manner of establishment for us permanently from the generation to generation, to the degree of how this will reach perfection in the third base of Mikdash, as our sages have said, that the verse "and establish for us the work of our hands" refers to the third base of Mikdash, of which Hashem has said in the future, I will build it and rest my presence in it, and it will not be destroyed forever. In order to explain this, we will preface by discussing the precise wording of the in the verse and the repetition of the words, the concept of the beginning and end in the psalm. What is the reason for the repetition of a prayer of Moshe? And after this title, a man of God, similarly at the end of the psalm it says, and may the pleasantness of Hashem be our God be upon us, establish for us the work of our hands, and afterward a second time, the work of our hands shall establish us. One of the explanations of this, as we may say, follows: in order to accomplish the drawing down and revelation of godliness below in a permanent way, I will dwell among them in a way of establishing for us two aspects are necessary, two opposites, and the joining of them together, a power that is higher than the regular conduct and nature and conduct of the world, has a strength to bring into the world a godly revelation that isn't a revelated matter in the word of Olam, an idiom of concealment on its own, until the world is transformed and becomes a vessel for the revelation of godliness, and especially, moreover, in a lasting and eternal way, which requires a special power, since from the perspective of the framework of the world, namely, consistently changed, time-created beings are subject to change as time goes on. To the extent that all creation is decomposed, this power has come down and be enclosed in the degree that it becomes on par with the limitations of the world, as it is known that a cleanser has to enclose himself in the garments of one he is cleansing, only that he will have the ability to make from it the entity that being cleansed, a vessel, a permanent place, to accept in an internalized way the revelation from Hashem, which is not the case if revelation is not on a level related to the level of the receiver. It will not remain there permanently, rather it will remain in a transcendent form of revealed or the like, until over the course of time, this revelation will leave. These two aspects, as we may say that these are two aspects in the repetition of the beginning and end of Psalm 90, were completed and clearly evident by Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the intermediary between Hashem and the Jewish people. I stand between Hashem and you. As an intermediary needs to have himself both aspects that he joins together. Regarding the term a man of God, our sages say if he was godly, why say man? And if he was a man, why say godly? The Midrash answers that his lower half was the man and his upper half was godly. And since he had both aspects, man and godly, Moshe had the ability to join godliness with the world as it came into clear manifestation in the Mikdash of Moshe. To elaborate, we may say that these two extremes in the intermediary are two aspects of Moshe and the man of God, the repetition of being of the psalm. Even though the man of God joins both extremes, man and the God, as they are in one person, Moshe, nevertheless, the name Elohim, Hashem, is numerically relevant to the word of nature, the level of godliness that is enclosed and sustains the nature of the world. Therefore it says man of Elohim, since the level of man, his lower half of Moshe, is associated with the world, is connected only with Elohim, godliness that is on the level of that relates to the creation, but not with the name of Havaya, the name of the essence of Hashem, the godly revelation that is higher than the world, which is created with the name of Elohim. In the beginning Elohim created. On the other hand, Moshe mentioned before the term of man of Elohim is created, so because from the water of Mishishu, I withdrew him from the name of Hashem, that the numerical value of 45, Ma, and Ma, what are we? The name of Havaya, higher than the man of Elohim, godliness that is higher than creation. It is known that means that the source of the soul of Moshe is from a very high level, the aspects of water, the concealed world, which is higher than the earth and dry land, where people live, and from there, from the water, I withdrew him to be revealed in the revealed world until this physical world is such that he has existed as a soul and a body here, and he is clearly from the water cleaving to his source above in a revealed manner, similar to the fish of the sea that are constantly connected with their source of life, the water of the sea, in the revealed manner. Hence Moshe, the man of God, indicates both concept mentioned above, that Moshe has his connection here below, with the godliness that is higher than creation, which gives the ability to reveal godliness below and transforms the world, and to draw down eternally the ability for infinite below. And the man of God, his connection as man of godliness is on a similar level to that of the creation, which gives Moshe the ability to draw down godliness on a level similar to that of the Jewish people, souls and bodies in the world, in a way that they can become vessels within their reach in a permanent way. For godliness is able to receive by the creations, to the extent that I will dwell among them, the revelation of godliness that is higher than the creation. According to this, we will understand why at the end of the psalm there is a repetition of the expression established for us the work of our hands, and the work of our hands shall establish us, being that Moshe, the intermediary, had both Moshe and the man of God. Therefore Moshe has here below in his world permanence and eternity, the power of boundlessness and revelation way, as is hidden in the continuation of the psalm. You have been a shelter for us in every generation. Before the mountains came into being forever and ever, you are God, and indeed 1,000 years are in your eyes like yesterday. Likewise, the element of the eternity in time is also drawn forth to Moshe, the man of God, being that he is nullified to godliness eternally in eternity in Moshe himself. Moshe didn't die, and there is an expression of Moshe, an extension of Moshe in every generation, in addition to the aspect of Moshe that is in every single Jew, as well as the power and aspect, to the extent that also the handiwork of Moshe, the Mishkan, and that Moshe made are eternal. Therefore, specifically, it is Moshe who has the ability to draw down the presence below by means of the prayer, may your pleasantness, may it be your will that divine presence shall rest in the work of your hands to establish for us permanently for every generation, to the extent that in this established for us the work of our hands alludes to the eternity of the third base of Mikdash that will never be destroyed, as mentioned above. And just as Moshe embodied these two aspects, Moshe, the man of God, so too may they appear in the blessing of the prayer. May your presence draw down of the divine presence in the Mishkan, godliness that is above world, in a way that it becomes enclosed in innermost of below. And may we say that they are hinted at the repetition of the expression, established for us the work of our hands in a transcendent way from above, being that the revelation is unlimited and unended, and the work of our hands shall establish us, that He establishes the work of our hands as themselves. For example, the establishment permeates also the work of our hands, not only in a manner of established for us. This is especially appreciated since repetition in general denotes external existence, repetition that brings in a wake salvation. It is not only 2 times the amount, rather even more in quality and strength. Repetition also is in the connection of the redemption, the eternal redemption, in greater detail in accordance with how Rashi explains the repetition of these words. The 2 times it says it, and the work of our hands shall be established, one in reference to the work of the Mishkan, which he blessed the Jewish nation and prayed that the divine presence should rest in the work of their hands in the Mishkan, and the one that there should be a blessing in the work of their hands placed on this. We may say that the repetition indicates a twofold blessing for Moshe, that the work of our hands shall be eternal, both the work of our hands in the realm of our holy manner, such as the work of the building of the Mishkan, as well as the work of our hands in the realm of permanent and weekday matters, your actions and your ways. For even though these are actions that are associated with worldly conduct, Moshe views them with eternity and established the work of our hands. And to say Moshe's prayer and a portion of Shabbos prayer is therefore understood that this prayer has a special connection with Shabbos, and especially that the psalm of the Shabbos day and a portion of Moshe's prayer for the 11 psalms that Moshe said, to the extent that Moshe came and reassociated the psalm with his name, Mizmor Shir Layom HaShabbos, by Moshe, an acronym of Hashabah. And we say that the connection is as follows: on the verse of Psalm, a song of Shabbos day, our sages say that the matter of Shabbos is double, that it's explained in many places that the twofold is level of 2 Shabbos in every Shabbos. Shabbos Eve and Shabbos day, rest relative to the toil, and rest in essence similar to the difference between the name Elohim, godliness, how it is able to receive by the creations, and the name Havaya, which is godliness, that is above the creation. And on Shabbos they come together double. And may we say that this is similar to the repetition of the beginning of the psalm, a prayer by Moshe, the level of Havaya, the man of Elohim, and at the end of the psalm, your pleasantness, may your pleasantness, Hashem, our God, be upon us, which pleasantness is the level of Shabbos, and similar to the concept of making the Mishkan, and establish for us the work of our hands, and the work of our hands shall establish us, both rest that is relative to toil, as well as rest that is essentially over us, in more general sense established in the work of our hands of the work days. 6 days you shall labor and do of your work, and establish for us the work of our hands on Shabbos, when all of your work is done. And Shabbos, similar to Moshe, this is associated with the phenomenon of the eternity, as is known that every Shabbos there is a foretaste of the day that is eternally Shabbos, the rest for life everlasting, when there will be the complete manifestation of the rest, in essence eternal rest, and the redemption immediately that there will be redeemed comes through the Jews keeping 2 Shabbos according to the law, at 2 levels in every Shabbos, who matter are double. Based on the above, we may explain the reason why this prayer, the prayer of Moshe, the man of God, is Psalm 90 in the book of Psalms, since it is connected to it both from the perspective of the number 90 as well as from the perspective of the letter Tzaddik. 93 successive times is Hazak establishment, the concept of Hazak, the expression of strength, meaning that with the continuation of repetition of these 3 times, it becomes permanent, it becomes strong establishment, and it will remain like that forever. The ultimate perfection of Hazak 3 times itself is 90, which is 3 times 30, 3 times 30, 3 times 3 times 10. The perfection of every number is attained when it includes the unit of 10, since 10 is the complete number, which indicates the completeness of the matter. Therefore, the redemption of the future and eternal redemption will be associated with the number 10, as it says on a 10-string instrument. According to this, 30 times 30, 10 times 3 is a complete as Hazak, more than 3, 6, 9, and the like. The 93 times 30 is ultimate perfection of Hazak. And Tzaddik, the regular way that our sages and similar later great rabbis write, spelled out the letter Tzaddik, Dal and Tzaddik, without a kuf at the end. Is several places it is written Tzaddik, kuf, and then apostrophe Yud, Dal, and Tzaddik as attached to Tzaddik, the letter that comes after it, kuf, which this is associated with the level of Tzaddik, the aspect of Yesod, foundation, as it is written, that Tzaddik is the foundation of the world. It says in the sacred books, based on what is known regarding the great precision there is in all matters in Torah, especially the holiness of the letters, that every letter spelled out has an explanation. The letter Tzadi is an idiom of the word Tzadi, side, and according to this it is understood that Tzadi means my side. The concept may be explained in our service to Hashem as follows. Hashem created man and the world in a way that has 2 sides, one side and its counterpart, the holy side and the opposite side, the good inclination on the right side, the right ventricle, and the evil inclination on the left side, since the Torah and Moshe commanded us is an inheritance to be the community of Yaakov to every Yid. It is understood that Tzadi, my side, the side of the Jewish nation, is Torah and mitzvahs, Torah ruling on how a Jew has to act in the world, whereas the opposite side has no connection to him at all, and certainly this isn't the Jew's side. And on the other hand, it's called my side, nothing more than my side, not my existence or any similar expressions. As Hashem indeed created the world with the name Elohim as a side on its own. Elohim made one side with its counterpart, a world that conceals godliness on the lower realm, to the extent of the lower realm that does not have anything lower than it in regard to the concealment of God, Hashem's light, and it is not evident in the existence of its own, and we have to follow the Torah's directive to the extent that people can act contrary to Torah, heaven forbid, and the intention is to transform the world to order, in order that it is also the side of the world as far as its concern should agree to the directives and rulings of the Torah, which specifically then becomes permanently established in an eternal way in the lower realm. Now, based on the above, a question can be raised even regarding to the permissible thing, not even the opposite side. How can a Jew go out and transform the entity of the world and the people in the world, that they on their own should lead their lives according to the directives and rulings of the Torah, to the point prevailing upon the people of the world to accept upon themselves the mitzvahs that were commanded to the children of Noah? Isn't he biased, since Torah depends on the Jews and was given for the Jews? Therefore, the thought to create the Jews preceding the Torah, as it states in the Torah, command the Jews, speak to the Jews, and the like, and the vitality of the Jews depends on the Torah, and it is our life and length of our days. The question is, since he is subjective, how can he establish and be made and make a dwelling for him? Blessed be he in the lowest realm from his perspective. Therefore Hashem made it that a Jew, as he comes down below in the world, as the soul and the body, is seemingly as if he stands on the side that his innate connection to Torah and mitzvahs doesn't compel, nor does it make him inclined in an open way to act this way. Rather, it was his left to his free choice. He should choose, and you shall choose life. On the other side, Torah and mitzvahs, therefore he is not subjected, because he is not compelled to act specifically in a way. He has it opposite, both the good side as well as the opposite side, and they both judge him. They don't rule, not even the godly soul is the ruler. Nevertheless, a yud is added to the tzadi side, since the divine intention is, and you shall choose life. He chooses the right side to be a tzadi, my side, and his side, and then when he chooses to obey the godly soul, Hashem helps him, for he stands on the desperate right side to save him from the judge of his soul. And this is similar to the two concepts of Moshe. Moshe and the man of God is similar to this, the soul and the body of every Jew, being Moshe called so because of the water I drew him. Higher than the world, he is connected to the revealed way only with godliness. With water is in Torah. Remember the Torah of Moshe my servant. Torah rules over the world. Bereshis, the world was created for the Torah and for the Jews. With the ability he can transform the world and draw it down, revealed godliness in it. Being a man, from his lower half he appears from the perspective of his physical body to be the same as of the person from the nations of the world. Therefore it is if he stands on the side and chooses life, and he is a man, he becomes a man. God my side. According to this, it's understood that since Sadi, the Torah of mitzvahs, is on his side, comes about not being inclined to do so, rather by means of his choice, being eternally a man, a soul and a physical body in the world, he has the ability to transform the world, and those that live in it, that also they should agree to follow the directives in Torah as such that it is permanent a part of them, for it is on a level of relative to their level, as mentioned above, as such that through his godliness can be drawn down and revealed through the world in a permanent way. We still have to understand that the above spoken in regard to the service of the Tzaddik to draw down the godliness into the permissible portions of the world, into a world that comes from the name Elohim, which indeed conceals godliness, but not against it, and being the service of purifying the world through being clothed in the level of man of God, it is revealed within the confines of the world. However, when we say that the entire world needs to be a dwelling for him, blessed be he in the lowest realm, a permanent dwelling, and understood that there cannot be a corner in the world which has against godliness, heaven forbid, since then the permanence of the eternity of the entire dwelling is lacking. However, how does one have the ability to also influence the side which is against a place where there is already a stumbling contrary to the Torah, heaven forbid? We must say that through the prayer of Moshe, a man of God, which gives the ability to draw down godliness in a permanent way, the lowest of which there isn't any lower, and that is reached, that transforms also, that we may say that this is hinted in the fact that we add a kuf to tzadi and make tzadi, which a kuf goes down below the line, will be explained regarding the aforementioned explanation. that Moshe being called so because from the water I drew him denotes the revelation of the name of Havaya, which is higher than the world and the hidden world. Seemingly a simple question arises: the water from which Moshe was drawn was the Nile River. She laid it into the reeds of the bank and also the river, close to an idol of Egypt. Also specifically the daughter of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, the most immoral place of the world, took Moshe out of the water and called him Moshe, since I drew him from the water, and he is called name specifically, even though he had 10 names. How does it fit with the explanation in Chassidus that his name refers to the hidden world, the exact opposite of idolatry and para? The explanation of this is that itself is the reason the higher something is, lower it falls. In order to reach godliness is higher than limitations of creation. The key is specifically Paro's daughter, as it is hinted by her name Bas Yah, meaning Bas, daughter, receiving from Yud K, which is a higher than the name of Havaya, as she should take Moshe out of a place of idolatry, water of the Nile River, and through this there is a revelation at the level of I drew him from the water, the revelation of Moshe from the hidden world, the revealed world. Based on this, we may say that the fact that Moshe was in the basket, in the reeds of the bank of the river, close to the place of idolatry, even lower than a man from his lower half, however, placed in a way that he was protected by the basket. Obviously, the basket was opened from above, namely, Mount Moshe was lying in the basket. The heavens were revealed to him, while there she saw, even through she was Paro's daughter, the divine presence within him, and following this, she drew him from the water, specifically Paro's daughter, and he grew up in the house of Paro, the king of Egypt. This gave Moshe the ability to be able to break the evil and idolatry in Egypt, and from there to redeem the Jewish nation. Hence the verse of prayer of Moshe, the man of God, includes a third phenomenon as well, in addition to the service of man of God, revelation of godliness in a revealed level, that is the creation, that Moshe, the revelation of the name Havaya, that is a higher than creation, the service of purifying and lowest, that there is none lower than it. And one may say that this is hinted in the concept of the prayer of Moshe, as is explained in Chassidus, that this is the prayer of the wealthy person associated with his blessed essence, higher than Havaya and Elohim, transcendent revelation and internalized revelation that joins them together, which is the power of his essence, completely above the existence of the world and negation of the existence. Godliness is drawn down in the entire world, and every level that is included in the lowest, which has nothing lower than it, as this will reach perfection in the true and complete redemption, when I will remove the unclean spirit from the world, and there will be any wars, and the whole world will only work to know Hashem, the revelation of May, the pleasantness of Hashem our God be upon us. The world to come is called pleasant, essential pleasure, to the extent that it is drawn down in the established for us the work of our hands, and the work of our hands shall establish us, at the end of the song. And based on this, we may explain the hinted in the Psalm Tzadi 90, that additional kuf after the tzaddik is knowing the explanation of what is said. He created the world with hay, that the Olam world was created with a hay, which is made up of 3 lines corresponding to the 3 levels of Olam, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, through full thought, deed, and the roof of the right foot that are connected to corresponding to thought and speech, and the left leg that is not connected corresponding to Asiya, about which is said, I also made, also that interrupts. Since the world was created complete, it is understood that even though the world was created with a hay, there is an interpretation preceding the world of Asiya, Ha'elam, concealment, that the concealment is a connection with higher worlds. Still, it is complete in a manner that Hashem created it with the same Elohim, in a world that conceals godliness, and our divine service in the world consists of tzadi, who chose Torah and mitzvah to be a side of a Jew, as mentioned above. Afterward, there is service of kuf, of holiness, namely that we also reach this place that came about by means of sin, that the letter of hay should become a letter kuf, which is the left foot descends below the line, below the place stated that Hashem originally created the world, and the divine intention here is that Elohim created to do, meaning to fix. For us is a partner with Hashem. The act of creation spiritually cleanse also this place, as Moshe did, as mentioned above, when this is the ultimate perfection of the divine service of a tzaddik, that he draws forth also from tzaddik. The Torah and mitzvahs are his side, also in the kuf below the line. Based on all the above, it is understood why specifically Moshe is the redeemer of the Jews in Egyptian Exodus, and the first redeemer empowers the last redeemer for being on the level of the prayer by Moshe, man of God. He has the ability to draw down the redemption and revelation of God's infinite ability in the world, and redeem the Jews from all limitations, including also from the evil and idolatry of Egypt. And with this power, the true and complete redemption that will be like the days you left Egypt. I will show them wonders, not only miracles clothed in nature, Elohim, rather also revealed miracles that are completely higher than the ways of nature to the extent of wonders. It will be a redemption that won't be followed by an exile in a way that the whole world will be dwelling for him. Blessed be he, a permanent, eternal dwelling forever and ever. With this, we can also explain the content of the great miracle of Shabbos HaGadol, the connection of Shabbos, specifically the miracle of the slaying of the firstborn of Egypt, and the strength of the opposite side itself. The firstborn of Egypt hits Egypt, the land that is filled with idols. The spiritual cleansing of the kuf below the line is brought about through a very high revelation of godliness, higher than the miracles that happened to the Jews themselves, or the miracles that Hashem did, to the extent that this is revealed, the external and unlimited power of godliness that is even reaches such a place. Therefore, specifically, this is called the great miracle, and specifically becomes the beginning of the redemption of miracles and exodus from Egypt. And this matter was established specifically on Shabbos, and Shabbos is associated with eternal redemption. The day will be all Shabbos and the rest everlasting, and the matters of Shabbos are double, and redemption is also associated with redemption. Therefore, the Shabbos in which took place of the great miracle of the slaying of Egypt by the firstborn transforms the entire Shabbos, that it becomes a great Shabbos. And therefore, this Shabbos also has the ability to bless the festival of Pesach, as mentioned earlier, and to add this year and many years calendar layout of Shabbos HaGadol occurs on the Shabbos that we read the Parshas of Tzav. The word Tzav means immediacy, and for all generations, which emphasize even more the revelation of the concept of the eternality below in this world with the power of Hashem to Moshe Rabbeinu Tzav, command Aaron, and through Aaron it reaches every Jew, since Aaron loves peace and pursues peace, loves the creation, and brings them close to Torah, and he has commanded. The unlimited God gives strength both in the present immediately and for the future all generations. Immediately means he does not have any disturbance or even something delaying to carry out the commandment immediately, since his command completely involved in it to the extent that it is his life through and for all generations means that it continues with the same alacrity also in coming generations in the plural, and in this the chazaka of the continuing of the three generations is on for the next two. It becomes an eternal manner for all generations, that even action that he does will in a manner of establish the work of our hands. The above is emphasized even more, beginning that we are found in the month of Nisan of the year which I will show you wonders, and as spoken also in the letter addresses to all regarding the miracles and wonders that occur this year, close to Purim of this year, that an opposite to the Jews are nullified to the extent that an opposed to the Jews was nullified to the extent that the victory was brought with the enemy liberation. If victory brought with it the enemy liberated in a good way a portion of the war captives. May our captives all be freed. And we had mentioned in details before that Hashem will certainly continue to show revelations, miracles and wonders and mainly I will show you wonders in the true and complete redemption, which the war in part of the world, the king of Persia with the king of Aram, are among the signs of the redemption through Mashiach is coming immediately, as it states in the Yakut Shimoni, that as it says there, that my sons don't fear, the time has arrived for you to be the Redeemer. The King Mashiach stands on the roof of the Beis Hamikdash, and he announces the Jews and says, humble ones, the time has come for you to be redeemed from all of the above. Every Jew has an instruction in his own divided service, being that we are in the year I will show them wonders, and within them the month of Nisan, in the week of the festival of Pesach, in time for our freedom, in the light of the events and miracles, revelations to the physical eyes, openly to all the nations. This is to arise within a Jew additional will and strength to do his service in a way of miracle to the extent of miracles and miracles. It's not enough to do more than he is used to doing until now in Torah study and mitzvahs performance in a beautiful way. Rather, he has to go higher and higher in this, to go from strength to strength until he reaches the true great miracle associated with Hashem is great and exceedingly exalted. And we have a special God-given strength from this Psalm 90, the prayer of Moshe, man of God. May your pleasantness of Hashem our God be upon us. Establish for us the work of our hands. The work of our hands shall establish us. That the divine presence will rest on the work of his hands. And Moshe gives every Jew the strength, especially through the aspect of Moshe, that it is within him the effects, the service of actuality for the person to reveal in himself the tzaddik that is revealed within him, and all your people are tzaddikim. as he is connected with Hashem, is righteous, Sadiq, in his ways, and through this to do the service of Tzadi, the complete way, to dedicate himself entirely to the side of Torah, so that it becomes my side completely, so that there is not any place for thought of different side, both regarding himself as well as to influence other Jews in disseminating Torah, Judaism, and wellsprings outward and influencing the nations of the world in regarding to their 7 mitzvahs. In regard to this, we come to see yet another incident in order to add to the divine service by divine providence. There recently was passed Resolution 104, the same numerical value of Tzadi, by the House of Representatives of this country. The representative of the entire country who have the ability to act the law of the land of this country in connection with the establishment of the 11th day of the month of Nisan to be a day dedicated especially for improving good education, foundations for civilization for all the country's residents and all people of the world, and this should be done to the pointed tzaddik, also reaching outward, of which there is none or further than it, and a special emphasis on the timely manner to give adequate supplies for the Jewish holiday to those that need it, such as needs for the Seder Matzah and the 4 cups, and the needs of the festival and general festival clothes and festival foods and the like, and to bring attention to another relative issue in the places that make Seders for those that have made arrangements only for one Seder due to the lack of funds and lace. It is necessary and extremely appropriate to arrange for both Seders, at the very least to divide available funds for both nights. Certainly there will be no need to act thusly, since Hashem will surely bless and supply all needs for those who are occupied this and even more, and may it be his will, and that the completeness of the prayer of Moshe and Moshe's will within every Jew should already be fulfilled. The prayer of Moshe and the man of God, may the pleasantness of Hashem be our God be upon us. Rest your divine presence in the work of your hands, in our actions, in our service during the time of our exile, and immediately, literally the main thing, in the third base of Migdash, the Migdash that Hashem, your hands established. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Dvar Malchus. Hag Sameach, Good Yom Tov. Mashiach now.